I was going to talk about UK's Zionist Prime Minister Keir Starmer tonight and how he's facing a coup within his own party. But two huge developments took place from across the Atlantic in the US, and I thought they deserve my immediate attention at the moment. As for Keir Starmer and the political tremors affecting him, I will try and record another video perhaps tomorrow. The controversy surrounding Starmer's future is absolutely huge and proves my predictions made from this channel in light of his support for the Gaza genocide. But let's wait until tomorrow, because the two developments that I'm talking about tonight are related to Trump and an all-out war declared by America's right-wing influencers against the rogue settler colony called Israel. The BBC had just apologized to Trump for doctoring his speech made on 6th of January 2021. It has sensationally confessed to doctoring the video for its Panorama program, which was broadcast just before last year's presidential elections. You can watch my video on this here. Trump had given the BBC until tomorrow, which is 14th of November, to apologize and fully retract the claims made in the Panorama program by using a doctored video. The BBC has issued a public apology. It said in a statement, and I quote, "We accept that our edit unintentionally created the impression that we were showing a single continuous section of the speech rather than excerpts from different points in the speech, and that this gave the mistaken impression that President Trump had made a direct call for violent action." End quote. Unintentional? Really? Mistaken impression? Who the hell is this rogue organization trying to fool? They really think people are dumb to believe their action was unintentional. Remember, this response from the BBC has come after it emerged that another program called The Newsnight had also aired the same doctored video in 2022. In fact, on this occasion, a guest had even raised objections on the use of this doctored video by the BBC.
Up until the riots, you were a loyal aide. You had been chief of staff to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump galvanized and encouraged that crowd and stoked that crowd. And I wonder if you actually think that he actually believes in democracy.
A bunch of different questions there. Your video, and I'm no apologist for the president on this.
No, I'm not suggesting you are. I'm not suggesting you are. But what I'm saying is that your
video actually spliced together the presentation. He said we're going to go down and we're going to cheer on our senators and our House members, and then it actually goes on to saying some of them we might not be able to. And that line about it, we fight and fight like hell, is actually later in the speech, and yet your video makes it look like those two things came together. That's the type of messaging here that so many people in my country find frustrating, is that it's hard to actually get the facts. The young woman from BuzzFeed is absolutely right. It was a violent attack, yet there were people, and there's video of people walking peacefully through the Capitol building. If we're going to have a debate about what this was and prevent it from happening again, I think part of that is to make sure that we are straightforward in our presentation will actually happen. If anything good comes from the commission, I hope it does, it's that it will be an actual recitation of what happened that day, because we all need to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Reacting to this latest revelation by the Telegraph newspaper, the BBC said, and I quote, "The BBC holds itself to the highest editorial standards. This matter has been brought to our attention and we are now looking into it." End quote. Isn't it laughable when the BBC says it holds itself to the highest standards? It's like Israeli maniacs, genocidal maniacs, saying IDF holds itself to the highest accountability every time its terrorists commit an act of genocide. It seems the BBC has learnt a lot from its support to Israeli terrorists during the Gaza genocide. They are even sounding like them now, and people are being made to fund this rogue organization. I will share a clip from Newsnight tomorrow to show their gutter journalism, because that's relevant to the Keir Starmer story. The BBC has refused to pay the financial compensation to Trump, who had demanded $1 billion in compensation. Let's see how Trump reacts to this refusal. In another development from the USA, Tucker Carlson has declared war on the pro-Israeli lobby led by Ben Shapiro and Mark Levine in America. Remember how we posted two back-to-back videos on the changing tide amongst America's conservative movement against Israel in the last 2 days? You can watch my videos here. You may call it the Janta Ka Reporter effect. Tucker, too, has now decided to go full throttle as he singled out Mark Levine and Ben Shapiro to expose the Israel First narrative. Tucker shared a video which was 1 hour 44 minutes in duration. He was absolutely brutal in exposing the pro genocidal policy of the Israeli lobby in the US. I may disagree with Tucker on many other things. Of course, there will be differences between us given that I am a liberal and not a conservative. But I truly admire him for his stance against the Gaza genocide. It's not easy to speak against the Israeli barbarity while being in America in 2025. But what enhanced my respect for Tucker was when he revealed that Charlie Kirk and he were the only two prominent voices who opposed war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu's dirty attempt to drag the US into another regime change, this time in Iran. Anyone who stands up to the Israeli barbarians and baby killers has my respect, whether they are from the right, left, or the center. Tucker then launched a tirade against Mark Levine, who has made some of the most vile comments against Palestinians in Gaza, the victims of Israeli genocide, the worst Holocaust in living memory. And then came Ben Shapiron's turn, who Nick Fuentes had called a small man. This clip will forever haunt this cunning fellow from the settler colony. It's an absolute must watch. And why is this important? That's because Americans, particularly those on the right, where the rogue settler colony enjoyed the biggest support, are finally calling out the treachery and diabolical design of Zionists in the US. These scumbags have long fooled Americans by using their compromised set of lawmakers to argue that getting involved in the Israeli barbarism in West Asia was in US interest. But people like Tucker Carlson are openly saying now that no, it's not in America's interest. Even Charlie Kirk was beginning to have a change of heart when he was assassinated. Given the phenomenal reach of these conservative voices in America, we can finally hope that Israeli monsters and their evil stooges in the US Congress and Senate would soon be made irrelevant, insignificant. I will wait for the day when awakened young US voters would send every Israel First and Zionist politician into political oblivion. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.